How important is sex in a relationship? Sexual compatibility is more important than the act itself. If the pair of you are completely incompatible in terms of your desires/libido/kinks etc, then it's not going to work out. If you're mostly similar and are willing to communicate openly and properly with each other, then the relationship is far more likely to work. I very much agree with this. Differences in sex drive and expectations between two people should be understood and openly discussed to create a foundation that can weather issues that inevitably will pop up over time. For my wife, sex is very important in our relationship. She wants to be desired and is a very physical person. I can tell a difference in her when this need is not being met. For me, sex is somewhat less important, and I have a lower sex drive than her. What's more important for me is someone that I can be intimate with, but this doesn't necessarily need to be in terms of sex all the time. Because I know that my wife is going to want sex more often and values it a little higher than me. I try to make sure that we don't go too long without having it. I also openly communicate with her about how I'm still very attracted to her and enjoy our sex whenever we have it. I just naturally have less of a drive for it than her. To compensate for that difference, I will try to use other ways of conveying intimacy to her, either verbally or through touch, so she is getting some consistent feedback in those areas. I'm not always great at this, but I try, and she can see that. I disagree somewhat with some of the comments saying you must find someone with the same sex expectations as you. It's an important factor, but every couple is going to have a variance between their sexual desires/drive/expectations at some point, if not constant. It's all about how open you are about it and what actions you take to address it. This is beautifully said. I'm in a similar situation to you, but I'm the higher libido wife. This was very difficult to adjust to in the beginning of the marriage because of what society had taught me about how men are always thinking about/wanting sex, and it gave me insecurity issues. My thought was, if I was just more attractive/desirable, he would definitely want to have sex more. It took me a while and lots of communication/understanding between us to realize that this was just the way he was wired and had nothing to do with how attracted he was to me. He would probably be the same way in any relationship he was in, no matter what his partner looked like. But it's not realistic to try to find someone with the exact same libido because libidos shift and change with life events. After giving birth, my libido dropped to slightly below his 4 years, which was actually really nice for me because he was initiating more often and I felt more desirable. Now, it's about up to pre-childbirth levels. With my husband, if he's feeling anxious, stressed, or depressed, he is simply not going to be in the mood, possibly for a week or more. A good relationship is having love and understanding for the different things your partner is going through and helping them continue to feel loved in different ways through it all by meeting them where they are at, as in the examples you gave. I wish my wife understood this. It's a vicious cycle. I get stressed and I don't want sex. Then she gets stressed because she's not getting it and her mood gets worse, which stresses me out more and makes me want it even less. Rinse. Repeat. Sometimes I feel like our culture implants this idea that guys want sex all the time, and when it's not that way, women assume it's because they are unwanted. I'm not some primal fucking ape that just wants to fight and fuck. I have feelings too, damn it. I get it, and it took me a long time to come to peace with this as well. So try to have patience. It's hard to unlearn the messages we are raised with. My advice would be to be really open about your feelings and reassure her that you are attracted to her and love her in different ways. In my experience, the stressful feelings are more related to her feeling unattractive and undesirable than it is even about just wanting to get off. Although sexual frustration can also be a real irritant at times too, of course. This is very contextual. More important is both partners feel they have mutual understanding and level of fulfillment from that aspect of the relationship. I enjoy sex, but if something happened that prevented sex with my wife, I would still love her and be faithful. Our relationship is much more than just sex, but that is after 14 years of marriage, 3 kids, and some major events. We are in this journey together no matter what. My parents have been together 30 years this year and 2 kids. They sleep in separate bedrooms, but still love each other very much. My mom snores. My dad has bad night terrors. He likes to go to bed early and read, and my mom likes to stay up late watching movies with his kids, both living at home for a bit. As a 26-year-old, it's nice to see that love means a lot more than sex. I've only been with my husband for a decade, but I feel the same way. After just 5 years of marriage, I was going through such a horrible time dealing with severe PTSD from sexual trauma. I mean, I spent a year sleeping on the floor in a closet in a different room. Yet he was loyal and understanding, and has been there for me through so much. It's really great to focus on spending your life with the person you would call your best friend. Because things will change. You might even feel like you've fallen and out of love. But if you really truly are friends, it can get you through all the times you don't necessarily feel romantically attracted to them, or you don't even like them. That happens and it's normal. But it's so much easier to get through when the foundation of your relationship was friendship. It's important your sex drives are similar. How do you deal with sex drives that are not similar? Edit. Just woke up to a destroyed inbox. Of course, my most popular comment is about my sex life. My wife wants sex about 3 times a month. I want sex about 10 times a month. So we compromise and have sex about 3 times a month. 27 days of masturbation should fill in the gaps. Man. The number of times that I'm independently horny is infinitesimal compared to the number of times I want to have sex with my wife. Masturbating does not fill in that gap at all, because it is doing something alone when what you want is connection. What's most important is that you're sexually compatible, like both have high sex drives or lower sex drives. If you're not, it may cause a lot of strain, and compromising that will affect the relationship. Every relationship is different as to whether it's important or not. To me personally, it's not important. I would have a relationship even if sex was not involved. But a lot of people consider it a crucial part of the relationship. For me, and I'm sure a lot of others, sex is important. But it's not as much the sex itself. It's that sex usually comes from a feeling of desire. And I like to feel like I'm desired. At least growing up with abandonment issues. It definitely seems to fill a hole. Edit. I went to bed right after I posted this. Thanks for all the awards and support. I didn't realize how many other people had the same thoughts about it as me. Edit 2. Yes, the pun was intentional. I can always count on Reddit to turn clever phrasing into something to laugh at. I guide others to a treasure I cannot possess. It definitely seems to fill a hole. Yeah, it does. What fills it though? U/Silisors at 619. Fat cock. While the act itself might not be super important, the intimacy that goes along with it is very important. Also, the feeling of being desired is a very important aspect to a healthy relationship, and from things I have read, it's the number one reason people cheat. If they aren't feeling desired by their partner, they will tend to look for that elsewhere. So the ignored partner might be swayed to cheat if someone else is providing them with that desire they aren't getting from their partner. That's what I always tell my current GF of 8 years. She thinks I just want sex, but I just want to feel wanted. I don't want to initiate it every time. It gets old, and after a while starts feel like it's just pity sex. I'm currently ending a 10-year marriage in which my partner realized they were asexual a couple years in. We were very compatible in a lot of other ways, which is why it lasted as long as it did. But I eventually came to realize that I couldn't be happy with the deep lack of intimacy that came from our polar opposite sex drives. We couldn't so much as snuggle in the couch without setting myself up for rejection. Eventually I just stopped asking, because I could tell it was traumatic for them. But that just made the intimacy gap even wider. I still feel guilty for initiating the divorce, but I just couldn't stand to live like that for the rest of my life. I was a husk. It's not so much that we weren't having sex, but that basically all physical intimacy had to go to make the no sex bearable. Edit. Shit, this kinda blew up. The divorce is amicable. The relationship wasn't really working for either of us. It's hard and painful to pull our lives apart, but I believe we'll both be better off on the other side of this. Thank you all for all the support. I feel like the turning point is near, when the grief will begin to diminish, and I'll be able to start living again. I have hope for 2021. Edit 2. Okay, this really blew up. I want to print out that the divorce is not just because of lack of sex. There are other reasons too. They just weren't relevant to the question. And again, thank you all for the support. To those of you in the same/similar boats, My advice is to figure out what you need to be happy, and then do what you can to find that. This is literally me. My 8-year marriage ends next week. Wife stopped sleeping with me like 3 years ago, as well as cut off all physical affection of any kind. She said she just wasn't a sexual person and was tired of saying yes every time I asked when she didn't enjoy it. Now she's in love with some other guy as of 3 months ago. Apparently she figured out she just wasn't attracted to me. We stayed together the last couple years because we were basically best friends. So we were still somewhat happy and the companionship was nice. Hopefully I'm off to better things soon. Christmas was a shit show, which is when I found out about the other guy. Grieving sucks. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for all the kind comments, guys. I know grieving is part of the healing process, and I'm taking it day by day. That's terrible. I hope things get better for you. I think it's important to have that intimate, physical bond with your partner. However, I believe that it also completely depends on who you're with. I think that intimate bond is heaps important, but whether that's felt through sex or just body massages, back scratches, hand holding etc. That's up to the individual's. Edit. Thank you to the kind strangers for deeming my comment worthy of an award. This is also where I appreciate understanding my partner's love languages. Some people feel loved via massages and hand holding, while others prefer quality time or gifts, etc. Edit. Thank you for the awards. I hope my comment helps people communicate more with their loved ones, and since it was asked a few times, here https://www.5lovelanguages.com/quizzes/ is a link to the 5 love languages quiz and more info about the books. They're quick reads if you want to learn more. My wife has, since she was young, been in the practice of folding her ears over in half and forming a vacuum. She's even able to make cute little squeaks in the same fashion as an armpit fart. I know I'm closest to her heart when she is mashing her folded ear against my skull, similar to a cat rubbing their face on something. 5 years together, and I unconsciously just go with it whenever. This is the weirdest, cutest thing I've ever heard. As important as the people in the relationship deem it to be, so that ranges from critically important, and validly so, to completely unimportant, and validly so. I so agree with this. My sex drive has been killed due to recent brain surgery and vaginismus. Sex hurts me right now, but I'm in physical and mental therapy. Sex is very important to my partner, but he knows it hurts. We do lots of oral and lots of kissing and cuddling. I constantly tell him he's handsome. I love him. I think he's sexy, while I try to get my body to feel how my brain does. My brain wants sex, but my body is still recovering and dealing with a vaginismus. We talk about it, and he knows when I'm ready. We will do PIV sex. We are working on it. While I believe sex is important, if that's your thing, sex cannot be the only way you show want, desire, and intimacy. You have to allow your partner to not feel like having sex, even when you want it. You have to be respectful of each other's needs and also communicate. Vaginismus is so hard. I have struggled with it for years and been in therapy as well. Sib a hug. It's very important to me and my so. We value our time and the physical being together. I don't want just sex. I want sex with her. Intimacy. It's a physical expression of how we feel about each other. I somehow imagined most of the responses to be like yours, but surprisingly most of the people here think differently. I think that's quite interesting. For me, sex is extremely important in a relationship. It's one of the most important pillars of my relationship. I've been with my so for almost a decade and my desire to have sex with them is very high. I think it'd be a real problem in our relationship if that changed, and I would start re-evaluating our relationship if it did. I also think incompatible sex drives are a valid reason to break up, and I never get into a relationship with someone before having sex and building a physical connection. Sex is like air and money. It's great if you have enough, but when you don't, it's really important. Having money is not everything. Not having it is. Can I? Totally off topic from the op, but I think about this line a lot. It's easily one of my favorites from Can I, and I think it's very true. There are countless examples of miserable people with money, but it's so heartbreaking to me how many people spend every minute of their lives thinking/stressing about their next meal/payday/etc. Just a small difference in wealth can make such an impact on someone's quality of life, particularly their mental health. It is important to be with someone that enjoys being intimate with you, someone that is passionate about you in every aspect. Not that everything has to be sexual, but an inviting smile, a hug, or a glance that makes her want to spend time with you. This, my GF and I have a good time and I love being intimate with her, but the little moments when she comes up behind me and gives me a hug or pauses what she's doing to tell me she loves me / compliment me out of nowhere, making time to just be close physically and talk, just the little reminders that she cares, can just completely turn my day around. That's what really powers relationships. For me at least. More so than like super regular sex or something. Any couple can have sex, but making each other feel special after a long time together is so important. Small for me. Physical attraction is nice, but sometimes you just can't. We haven't shagged in months. Too many issues with her uterus and obgyn stuff. She just got her uterus removed 2 weeks ago. We still have a great time, and it hasn't been a bummer, not one bit. My relationship is similar. I'd rather have an awesome marriage with limited sex, but high intimacy than a shitty marriage with good sex and low intimacy. I've had both. If you are new to Tattletale TV, please subscribe. We have new videos every day. Stay tuned for more coming up next.